Welcome to today's edition of Stop the Badges Weekly Nightly News. Today is Tuesday, June 17th, 2014. I just wanted to talk about K9 units briefly. In general, police K9 units are a waste of money, unreliable, they don't have the judgment that people have, and they're manipulable. They're not corruptible, but the cops, their handlers, are. For instance, if if they're trying to get cause to search your vehicle by use of a K9 unit, they could say the K9 was set off and it smelled drugs in your car. Well, those dogs are trained to withdraw. Well, the handlers are trained to see when the dog withdraws from a harsh scent. So if you have paints, oils, gases, anything, fertilizer, anything strongly scented in your car, the dog could draw back, and then the cop has, a reasonable cause in his mind to search your vehicle when there were no drugs. There was just that, take gasoline that you carry around in case you run out of gas.
And this is Barry Cooper, K9 unit expert, former police officer, and with over 10 years experience, a natural at training K9 units, was shipped all over from station to station, worked with different departments, DEA, showing them how to train dogs, and this is the guy that everybody would want to train their K9 units if they could. This is a man who, when he realized the pointlessness of the drug war and the corruption of the police state and how it's just taxation and it's just as corrupt as the cartels they claim to be fighting, he left the force and started instead teaching people about his rude awakening, what the police actually do, what they're capable of, and this is a little bit of it.
Detector dog. We look for a dog that has an incredible ball drive. All of you have seen this dog. Everybody hates this type of dog because when you go to the backyard, they jump up on you, they tear things up, and they want to chase their ball over and over, and they're just psycho about their ball. That's the type of dog we want to start with. Then the officer simply scents the ball or the toy with marijuana, and the dog begins to believe his toy that he has this crazy drive to get smells like marijuana. See this pot of stew? Well, humans, we see carrots, corn, potatoes, gravy. We see all these substances, but we only smell one odor: stew. A dog is just the opposite. He can't see very well. He sees in shades of gray and black, and he cannot see 3D. He sees flat. So his eyesight is not good, but his nose is excellent. When a canine smells this stew, he smells corn, carrots, potatoes, gravy. So he can separate odors just like you and I separate the ingredients by sight. Knowing this principle that a dog can separate odors like humans see, you should be able to draw the conclusion that masking substances do not work. So, to answer the age-old question, do coffee grounds mask the odor of marijuana? Absolutely not. I've had my dog alert on bricks of marijuana that were wrapped in cellophane, then layers of coffee grounds, then mustard, there we go. Vanilla extract is common. Bounty fabric softeners and pepper. If we place cannabis in there, remember the stew analogy? The canine can go, oh, mustard, oh, coffee, oh, vanilla, oh, Bounty fabric softeners, oh, the marijuana, and give an indication. So these substances do not work when it comes to trying to fool a canine. Oftentimes, people trying to mask the odor of marijuana use petroleum products, gasoline, things of that nature, or some kind of strong cayenne pepper, because a dog's nose is very sensitive, and when he comes across these items, his instant reaction is to jerk back. But that doesn't work either, because we're trained as narcotic handlers to watch this type of reaction, and when the dog makes it, it makes us suspicious. Okay.
Food. You know, a dog will investigate food, especially if it smells good to him and he's hungry. They'll, you know, you got a picnic basket in your car, you just went to In-N-Out Burger, your whole car still smells like Burger King's French fries or McDonald's or whatever. The dog's gonna go crazy. He's gonna want to know where's the food, what's in the bag. If he smells some food and starts investigating that, the cop's gonna think he found drugs. So now, you know, again, he is in his mind, the handler, the police officer, give himself the authority to search your vehicle based off of nothing. Based off of either food or a scent. In either case, it's a scent, one way or the other. You just don't know. And even when it does come to drugs, yes, a dog could smell, you know, harsh narcotics as well as marijuana more easily than a human, because, you know, their noses are just enormously more powerful than ours. But that doesn't mean that it's recent. The timeline isn't there. I mean, if a human were to smell marijuana coming from a car, you know, it's pretty possible that, or probable, that car was just recently smoked in, you know, within the last day or two, but at most, you know. But if a dog smells residual marijuana scent in a car, that could be a week old. Just because a dog smells something in the car, that just means the scent is permeated throughout the car. That doesn't mean that there's anything still in the car. You know, I could have my car permeated full. You know, I could have the scent permeate out of the container and fill up my car with the scent of marijuana. And then if somebody takes all the marijuana out of their car, but the dog still smells it, the officer has probable cause to get in there. I mean, not to mention that when these dogs are trained, when they're being taught to find the marijuana to track it down, or the drug, cocaine, the closer they get to it, the more verbal encouragement. There's usually a sign, either a noise, a tick, you know, muttering, get it, get it, get it, get it. Some kind of a signal to encourage the dog and let him know that he's getting closer to his target. Now that's also used out in the field to try to get a fake positive or a fake reaction out of a dog. They'll encourage him with that same signal, the same verbal communication, and then the dog will just start going crazy thinking he's near something and start scratching randomly wherever he's at, trying to find it. Or even where the police officer is pointing. You'll see in videos sometimes, they'll like tap the car and be like, get it, get it, get it, get it. And then the dog starts jumping up right there. So whenever in the police officer's mind he decides he wants to search your car, he's going to search your car. A canine unit doesn't help him do that. A canine unit doesn't make that any more reliable.
Narcotic detector dog handlers have learned this, and they can, through voice commands, cause their canine to false alert. The type of commands that are often used are, because those are the same words we use when we're bringing the scratch drive out in our narcotic detector dog, meaning the dog has smelled an odor. We want him to indicate that to the narcotic detector dog handler by scratching. So to bring that scratch drive out, we encourage them, get it, get it, get it, get it, good boy, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it, get it. And once they scratch hard enough, we throw them their toy like it popped out of nowhere. So the unscrupulous police officer can use this When you've refused consent to search and he's walked the dog on the outside of your vehicle and you've made sure nothing's contaminated and the marijuana has not been in there long enough to permeate and he does not get an alert, he will often use that trick. And the dog will raise up and start scratching. In the following footage, I'm going to show you a documented trained narcotic detector dog false alerting. Notice this Labrador hunting for the substance.
Good. Show me. Show me. Good boy. Show me. Let's go. Yeah.
That's called a false positive. There are no substances there at all, and the canines indicate. It's clear and plain to see there are no narcotics there. Now watch, she'll continue getting the dog to alert, talking the dog into alerting. Remember this, it is not the dog's fault. It is not the dog actually lying. It's the narcotic detector dog handler that's causing the dog.
As far as keeping the border safe from drugs, I mean, our government lets in the drugs. Our government controls the drugs. Our government runs programs like the Fast and the Furious just to try to not just choke down and stupefy our population and turn us all into junkies and drug addicts, but also to keep the cartels in check and keep the fear going and keep the drug wars going. I mean, if they really wanted to find and stop all the drugs coming into this country, why wouldn't they have a task force? I mean, why do we have canine units throughout the nation? Why wouldn't we just put them all at Mexico and Canada and then just sniff every vehicle, have the dogs walk by every vehicle that comes through? When the dogs take a potty break or, you know, they're at the end of their shift, we can't walk them around too much, that's when we'll have the next round of dogs come in. We don't need to put these dogs sparsely spread throughout the country to fight the drug war. All that does is give us another thing that we can tax the people for and say is an expense that's essential. But that's my bit on canine units. Unreliable, a waste of money, don't have the judgment that people have. They're controllable, and you're reliant completely upon their handler, the officer, not to be corrupt or not to go too far. Like recently there was a man in, I think it was Detroit, but I'll put up the clip here. He came out to his vehicle, his truck, you know, he'd spent his whole life saving up, working on it, building it up, and you know, the point is, this was his main thing to show in his life. Some people had their house. For him, it was his truck. And it was one of those real nice ones, painted. He had put all kinds of speakers and improvements in it. He came out one morning and found that he couldn't roll up the windows, turn on the radio, get any of the electrical parts to work, because this vehicle was entirely torn apart. And there was a little notepad, a piece of paper from a notepad with a spiral ring just torn off and stuck in his car. They said, we were walking down the street with our canine unit. He alerted us to a scent in your passenger side front end door, and we proceeded to search, you know, your vehicle. We didn't find for marijuana. We didn't find any. If you have any questions, call Officer Rick. And then it had a phone number. I mean, really, you would think the cops were hoping that he wouldn't call, putting Officer Rick. You know, they were nervous when they didn't find any weed, or drugs, or guns, or even, you know, an old parking ticket in his glove compartment. Anything that they couldn't have justified themselves being there on. So they left a little sticky note and panicked, hoping that he would just bow down to the system and say, oh, the cops did this. They searched, they had a canine unit, it must have been legit. But no, he asked questions, he brought it to the public's eye, got it to get national coverage, and again, we're seeing the abuse of the police state. Why are these canine units in place if the officers that are going to walk them around are just going to use it as an excuse to strip away people's constitutional liberties, not to protect them in any way? Anyways, that's all I got for tonight. This morning. Have a great day, and thank you for watching.